Join me today as we talk about Andor Season 2, Episodes 4, 5, and 6. This is the Geek Ball channel. My name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about Episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Andor Season 2. In case you don't know, or if you're watching this somewhere down the road, the episodes are being released 3 at a time every Tuesday, so that's why I'm reviewing the episodes 3 at a time. Okay, so overall I think things are still going pretty good. There is a 1-year time jump since the last 3 episodes, so some things presumably happened in between, but yeah. So with the time jump, we find ourselves with Cassian and Bix hiding out on Coruscant. Luthen is here, there, and wherever. Mon Mothma is trying to get support in the Senate for some kind of bill. And things are not going great for the good folks of Gorman, who, in the last 3 episodes, there was a meeting, a high-level Imperial meeting, about trying to extract some kind of mineral from Gorman, and it was revealed that doing so might prove catastrophic for the planet. So they needed to have certain contingencies in place. And that involved Krennic, who was saying it was for an energy program, but presumably it's actually for the Death Star. So, yeah. So in these 3 episodes, we have a couple different storylines playing out. We have Luthen trying to keep things together and having to deal with certain things popping up. We have the people on Gorman. There's a group of them who are trying to mobilize a resistance, and they don't realize that they're actually being played by the ISB. And that kind of, there's that little side plot to that. And then we have one of the people who is hiding out, who I think was from Ferrix. I'm going to have to rewatch Season 1. Who was there on the Wheat Planet and is now with Saul Guerrera's people. And so we get to see Saul Guerrera again.
There's not much of me left.
And then we have Cassian doing various things. So, without going super into spoilers, the plot's definitely moving forward. I'm hoping all these things connect back somewhere. Like I said, I expect most of what Krennic is doing is going to be tied into the Death Star. And I expect that Saul Guerrera is an attempt to show that, well, while there is the resistance, like, there's also some of them that are basically fanatics, and that's Saul Guerrera and his people. And then, of course, Mon Mothma is having to deal with everything around her seemingly collapsing, while all attempts to peacefully stop the Empire are being exhausted. And Luthen is acting an awful lot like, Cassian point blank calls him out for this. And he tells him, like, the people work for him are committed, but they're not droids. Like, they have feelings. They're human beings. And Luthen's acting like they're not. And I've got the feeling that's going to be his undoing somehow or another. I think we're building towards that. So, overall, the plot's, the pacing's moving forward. The plot's decent. I don't go heavily into spoilers here. I'll do that here in a minute. But, yeah, the dialogue's still pretty good. We get occasional references to some other things. I think Saul said that he originally was working in the Force on Onderon, if I remember right. So that's another shout out to the lore. Then, let's see. We have, unfortunately, we had Bail Organa got replaced I hear there's a scheduling conflict, so Jimmy Smits is not playing him in this. It was Benjamin Bratt. Kind of jarring. Glad I knew it was coming. Now you folks know it's coming. But he's only in it for a minute or two. Then, yeah, other than that, I mean, like I said, everything's going decently. Well, we do get a hyperspace jump scene and some flying through hyperspace stuff when Saul's guys take off for their destination. And we get to see that Saul is every bit as ruthless and borderline crazy as he's been depicted. And he's, Forrest Whitaker still knows how to do it. So, that was great. We do get to see Krennic again in the third episode. So, yeah. The only other thing I can say before I go heavily into spoilers is there's a scene that's probably going to be talked about if it hasn't been already. I don't think it's as well. First of all, I don't think it's controversial at all. People are going to compare it to the controversial scene in the first 3 episodes, the sexual assault, the attempted sexual assault scene. No, there are 2 women who we knew from season 1 were a couple. They share a kiss, and it's passionate. But I mean, we knew they were lovers. This show has a more adult tone. Like, it wasn't like it's a sex scene or anything. Like, I don't see what the problem is, and I don't think most people are going to have an issue with it. But if you're going to hear about a scene from these 3 episodes, that's the one you're going to hear about, I'm sure. So, just want to throw it out there. So, that's about as far as I can really go without getting into spoilers. So, if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you need to check out now. If you do, and you liked what you heard so far, appreciate, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting help us grow the channel, all that. And we always appreciate it. I appreciate all of you helped us get over 500 subscribers. So, yeah, on to the spoilery bits. So, you've been warned. Here they come. So, basically what happens is we have Bix is still having nightmares about the guy who tortured her back in season 1. And she's taken some kind of drug to try to suppress the nightmares. And Cassian is there with her, and like I said, they're on Coruscant, and so they're hiding out there. And Luthen sends him on a mission to Gorman to see what's going on, to check out the Gorman front. They're the people who are going to try to have some kind of rebellion against the Empire there. And he goes to check that out, leaving Bix behind on Coruscant, which he doesn't want to do. He goes as a fashion designer, because Gorman, the spider things with the silk and all that, fashion designers go there to check everything out. So he's taking care of all that. Now the Gorman front, they don't realize they're being set up.
It's a trap!
By his name totally escapes me now. He's with Deidre, the ISB woman, and he is the guy who was like the security guard type in the first season, then went to work for the Weights and Measures. And anyway, so he's in like the Weights and Measures in charge of Gorman now. And his mom's like, it's a demotion. They're just moving you out there to get rid of you. And like, he knows his office is bugged, so he's using these conversations, dropping little hints of dissatisfaction to try to get the Gorman front people to approach him, because they don't want to approach them, they got to approach him, so it seems natural. And then once he gets an in, he lets Deidre know and starts giving her the details, and then he gives them the schedules for all the stuff that's moving through town, because the Empire is building a garrison in the middle of the city. And apparently there's some backstory here. Apparently old Grand Moff Tarkin killed about 500 people in the town square years prior to this, and they've got a monument to the people that died, and the garrison is going to literally overshadow the monument. So the people are noticing that there's transports moving through town at night, and they're pretty sure they're loaded with weapons. And so he gives them all the information, which does not directly tell them that they're full of weapons, but one of them has an Imperial code that the pilot has to be a military person that passed background and everything, and they're able to piece together that these are the ones that have the weapons. So the ISB decides that they're going to try to spring the trap and, see how far the rabbit hole goes here. And so they, keep the things moving on schedule so that it doesn't look like they know. And while all this is happening, Cassian shows up to try to assess the potential of using them. And he can tell real quick that they're amateurs and that it's not going to go well for them if they try to do this. Because he tries to explain to them it's not stealing things that's hard, it's getting away with it, and they're not even going to be trying to get away, they're going to live right where the crime scene is. And they plan on advertising the fact that they did it. So he leaves, but after he leaves and talks to Luthen, and he realizes that Luthen doesn't care if these people go down in flames. He just wants them to make an impact to make the galaxy realize that people are standing up to the Empire, and he's willing to sacrifice all kinds of people to do this. And that's when Andor kind of has it out with him a bit, and I was like, look, I'm not going to do this, these people are doomed, and so he calls the person, his helper back on Coruscant, but then she gets a hold of the redhead that was in charge of the mission to steal from the payroll in season 1 that Andor was part of. So she shows up along with the woman that she's in a relationship with, and she apparently hasn't seen her for a while, and she had some kind of troubles, and Luthen took care of it, and you don't hear what happened, but it's all kind of hush-hush, and that's in there is where the scene I mentioned occurs. And again, I thought the scene wasn't out of place or anything, so I didn't see what the complaint's about, but I'm sure there will be complaints. And Cyril, that's the guy's name from season 1 who is at the weights and measures. So he's back on Coruscant there with Deidre, and they've got an hour, and he's kind of like, well, we can do a lot in an hour, and kind of looks towards the bedroom, and she's like, turn off the lights. So we know what they did too, they're just a little less explicit about it. Then they report to her boss, and Cyril's a little more forthcoming, a little more eager, reporting to her boss, but he knows how to read the situation, and agrees that they should move forward with everything. And then after he leaves, he reminds Deidre that Cyril cannot know the real depths to what's happening, and she's like, don't worry, I haven't told him anything else. And I believe that she is not. So things kind of move forward there a bit. He gets back, and then the ISB shows up to search his office, and I assume this is actually initiated by Deidre to cover for him. So they find the listening devices, and then everyone else gets questioned, and it makes Cyril look innocent, because why would the ISB search him if he's working for the ISB? So then the two from Luthen's operation start getting everyone ready to hit the convoy. They lay out a plan, and they keep telling each other if anything's bad, we're the only ones that can actually do anything, so we can call it all off. They're supposed to be the only ones that have weapons, because the goal isn't to go in there guns blazing. And they're on a timetable, whatever they can steal is whatever they can steal, and so on. And then we have the other guy get sent to Saw Gerrera to try to, there's some chemical that they're going to be dealing with, and they need to be able to understand how to manipulate the controls to safely get the chemical out in certain configurations. And so this guy is supposed to teach one of Saw's guys how to do all this. And he's like, hey, wait a minute, I only agreed to be here for a day. I'm just supposed to give you the thing, show one guy, and then I'm out. And Saul's like, oh no, you can stay. And eventually he tells the guy that he's helping, well, we can't let him go. He's seen too much, he knows too much. And he's like, what about the people that sent him? Well, accidents happen all the time. And so you're like, Saul's going to kill this guy. So it goes on, like, the guy that he's teaching finally goes to Saul, and he's like, I feel like I think I can do this, but we should keep him around. He's like, it'd really help if I knew which configuration we were going to need, and I'll need to know where we're going to know that. And so he tells him where they're going to attack. And then they're gearing up for the attack, and the two of them are going out, and Saul's like, do you think he can, asking the guy that was sent there, he's like, do you think this guy can handle everything? And he's like, yeah, I think he can. And he pulls a gun on him, a blaster, and he's like, do you think you can, or do you know he can? And as he's kind of quibbling, Saul shoots the other guy. And then his compatriot there pulls a thing out of the guy's pocket that shows it was, showed it broadcast. And it's like, there's an ambush waiting for us where I told him we were going. It's like, because he was a plant from the Empire. It's like, but they're gonna be mistaken, because that's not where we're going. And he tells everyone where they're going then, and he's like, we'll leave it an hour, burn everything we can't load. We're not coming back here. So they take off, and they get there, and it's just Saul and that guy getting this chemical out. And Saul had been talking about the stuff. He's had experience with it, and like it's some kind of toxic chemical. It'll kill you. And like as it starts coming out, Saul goes over to it and it's like, and the guy's like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like wearing a face mask and everything. And Saul's like, oh, you don't understand. And he explains to him back on, again, I think he said Andor, on his experience with it. And he's like, it's a smell you'll never forget. Like, and the potential of this. He's like, too much and it'll burn you from the inside out. And this, that, and the other. And basically he's trying to tell him that it's toxic, but also he's like, we're rebelling against an empire. Like, we're not gonna live to see the return of the Republic. Like, we're going to die fighting the Empire, and it'll be someone else that lives to see it. So we need to, throw caution to the wind and enjoy these moments. And he convinces the guy, like, he's like, you're with me now. And so the guy takes off his mask and takes a big mouthful of it in, and he's hacking and coughing. And I'm assuming this is why Saul has he has the huge breathing problems in Rogue One. So they take off, and they steal all the stuff. Then Luthen and his lieutenant there on Coruscant are having to deal with the fact that the crime guy that Mon Mothma's daughter married his son finds out one of the pieces in his collection is a forgery, and so he's going to have them all tested, and one of them has a listening device that they planted there, so they're going to have to get it out during a party. And Krennic is there, and Mon Mothma and Krennic are talking back and forth, and Krennic's giving her the whole like, yeah, well, might makes right speeches essentially. And so they do get the piece off. And there's some more moves from Luthen's guy who's planted inside the ISB. So, like I said, pieces are moving. And then the final part is the guy who tortured Bix. They're going to set him up with the thing there on Coruscant. And the ISB... earlier in the episode, they'd been complaining that essentially they're arresting too many people. There's too many leads, too much stuff to try to track down, too much information. And so the Imperial military is going to get involved. And the guy from the ISB is like, oh, those buffoons. He's like, he doesn't trust them to sift through anything because they're too heavy-handed. And so they're building an installation there where they're going to just have this guy start using the device that he used on Bix on people. But he wants some of his guys there to oversee it so they don't fumble through and miss something important. So, you see him go into one of the rooms there, and Bix is waiting for him. And she straps him into the machine and turns it on, and like turns it to full power and leaves, and he's being tortured. Then she's walking out, her and Cassian are walking away, and he pulls out a thing and hits a button, and the building starts exploding. So presumably that guy's dead now. And so Bix probably got her revenge, hopefully some level of closure. I'm sure Luthen's going to be really pissed off that they did something like this on Coruscant. But again, that plays into what, and what Cassian was trying to tell him, that, like, they're not droids. Like, she needed some level of closure before she could move on. Maybe, hopefully. And sometimes, you got to follow your gut, not all these protocols. And I think that's what's going to be Luthen's undoing, is someone's going to not like what he did, even though he's going to have, like, purely pragmatic and or practical reasons for doing it. Like, it's going to screw the wrong person. And they're still going to be alive to screw back. And so, like, I think that's what's being set up here, is that, like, the number of people that are on Luthen's side but are starting to seriously dislike Luthen are growing. And so, yeah, we'll see where all that goes. But, so I'm expecting another 1 year time jump in the next 3 and then the following 3. And I almost expect the show to end right around where Rogue One starts. So, yeah, we'll see. Because I think this one was 3 BBY, which that's 3 years before the Battle of Yavin. And so then the next one should be 2, and then the final will be 1. And that'll be close to the start of Rogue One, unless it jumps just a little bit farther. So we'll see. But anyway, like I said, overall I liked it. I like the little lore drops we're getting here and there. I like the other people, Krennic, Saw Gerrera, that were drawn in. A lot of name drops on Emperor Palpatine. So I honestly expect a Palpatine cameo before this is over with.
Yes.
Because a lot of people keep talking to the Emperor about things and defying the Emperor and this, that, and the other. And even if it's just him in a hologram, I expect something. The Emperor or Vader as the enforcer for the Emperor's will. I do expect that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see resurrected CGI Tarkin again in this, because he's been name dropped now. So we'll see where all that goes. I think Wolf Yularen might have been mentioned, and I think Izard, who's the head of the ISB, so you might see them as well. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to the next 2 batches of episodes. Overall, still pretty good. Once it's all out, probably watch it all back to back. Actually, I'll probably start over with season 1, watch it all through season 2, and then Rogue One. So anyway, that's all I've got to say on this one. Check it out if you haven't yet. That's pretty much it. So, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you liked what you saw here, we always appreciate all that. Sharing and commenting are the things that help us grow the channel the most. We really appreciate that. And subscribing, obviously, because that's the metric of success here, essentially.
We would be honored if you would join us.
That's all I've got. So, just remember, the Force will be with you always.